folks, and welcome back to the Game Buzz, the weekly podcast from us here at dealspoint.com, where we dive ass first into the news of the week. I'm Matt Gardner, and I'm joined once again, as always, by Carl Phillips.
Hello.
And by Jonathan Lester.
Watcher gorgeous.
Watcher. And we're not even going to bother with news this week, apart from, birthdays. Because both consoles would have turned one. Both new-gen consoles, I'm ignoring the Wii U for the moment, only for the moment. But yeah, the PS4 and the Xbox One both turned one this week. So we thought we'd have a little bit of a look back over their inaugural years and see what's been cooking in the first 12 months. Now, I want to start with the PS4. The reason I'm starting with the PS4 is because our impartial expert, if you remember in the lead up to the new gen consoles releases, we did a kind of launch appraisal, and we used our neutral expert, Mr. Carl Phillips, to sort of cast a deciding vote in sort of telling our consumers, or rather advising our consumers on what to buy last Christmas. And we can't do that anymore because you're no longer an impartial advisor, are you, Carl? You bought a PS4.
I did, yes.
Why? And has that decision kind of been justified standing at the end of 2014 and looking back?
It's a weird one. Because we put up a few articles about how we felt about the Xbox One and PS4 already, and so I've kind of gone over it in that. But the short of it is that as much as I'm a bit annoyed that the whole point of me getting one was to join in the whole thing, called Destiny, and that not really panning out as well as we would hoped. I know that in the long run, the PS4 is going to have the games that I want to play. There's been some really cool features, but I wouldn't necessarily say that, to begin with, it didn't necessarily feel like I had a next-gen console. It's only been the last month or so with SharePlay and everything else that it's felt like, this is the real difference. This is what I was paying for. But, I mean, I like my PS4. It's just a shame that I bought it on the basis that Destiny was going to be the game to play.
Yeah, I think when it comes around to sort of disappointments of the year, there are going to be a few games in there, but I'm pretty sure Destiny will be among the contenders.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's a big thing, because I mean the PS4, Sony's message was, this is for the players, and it's very clear that their message before the PS4 release, and indeed sort of their actions after release, have kind of lent credence to this as well, is that they've kind of said it's not about us. It's been all geared towards third parties, making sure games can get onto the system and games run easier on that system, getting people playing games quicker as well. It's been all about just making it, in essence, a very single-minded console, but the best single-minded games console that it can be. And in that respect, I have to say, if third parties have kind of been illustrated to be really, really important. If we didn't realize that with the Wii U, then I think sort of the battle between the PS4 and the Xbox One has really shown just how important the third party, or at least the perception of third-party games on these platforms is. And because the PS4 just has that marginal statistical advantage, and we've seen it in action as well, I think that's borne it out very well this year. But as we all said, all of us, the games, the exclusives, have been missing somewhat, and that contrasts completely kind of with the Xbox One, which obviously you've had since launch, John.
Yeah, that's right. Well, to me, both whether you buy an Xbox One or PS4 almost comes down to your own personal philosophy, like whether or not you see games consoles as an investment, or whether or not you think they're as good, effectively, as the games you can play on them right now. And I'm in the latter camp. It's a personal choice. I'm not going to say that you should think one way or the other. But I bought the Xbox One because I love the looks of its launch exclusives. They were actually pretty good. And right now, after, let's face it, a pretty insane year, Phil Spencer has finally managed to give the Xbox One a very Merry Christmas indeed. Because there are some great games on that platform now. I mean, yeah, the Master Chief Collection's matchmaking is still broken at the time of recording, but it's still a magnificent collection. I mean, not to mention the fact that Sunset Overdrive is great. Forza Horizon 2, absolutely fantastic. I'm sort of starting to repeat myself again, but that system is now... I'm just amazed at how much of a difference Phil Spencer and the new Microsoft management has made to that brand in less than 12 months.
Yeah, because we've all said it actually. Like this week, writing our kind of year-end review roundtable pieces, like the loss of Kinect, the price slashing, the fact that, as you say, there are kind of really meaty system sellers and exclusives on that platform. The bundles we've been seeing have been ridiculous, and I've got a Wii U and I've got a PS4 and I've got a gaming rig and I've got no time to actually play most of the games on those systems, and yet I'm looking at the Xbox One right now and I'm thinking, oh my God, I need you in my life. And I think Microsoft have done a cracking job to make that the case after, well, a year ago, kind of almost being. It was a bit of a joke leading into Christmas. I mean, we said the games lineup was better in terms of exclusives, but the messaging was all over the place. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is, Matrick. I know it's kind of popular to demonise Matrick, but the fact is that he and the old guard just torpedoed it. They torpedoed the Xbox brand, turning it. We've had this conversation 1,000 times before, and I don't want to hugely rehash over it, but the Xbox 360 sold on the basis of the fact that it was cheap and good and a great games machine and had loads of games to play on it. And they said, rather than instead of following that template, they decided to roll out the world's most stupidly expensive entertainment center with functionality that smart TVs and an iPad or a Surface tablet or something pretty much make obsolete anyway. Unless you're a fan of the brand, or you basically like the look of the launch exclusives and fancied a little bit of Titanfall, I mean, you're not going to buy that thing. And they've been, I use the word triage in the Xbox roundtable because that's really what Spencer's been doing. I mean, he's got this reputation as being this sort of nice guy Spencer, but he's proved himself as a ruthless general this year. Like, he's pretty much sacrificed so much to actually get the Xbox into the shape it is now. I mean, slashing its price point down, killing Kinect, declawing Xbox Live Gold, giving away more free games, and trying to compete by just almost giving the console away with a load of great games. I mean, that took some balls, and I'm really impressed. I really need them to fix. I really need 343 to bring back SWAT though, because that's a real problem.
I have to say, I do think it's terribly unfortunate that the Halo Master Chief Collection has suffered these issues, because it's kind of the flagship multiplayer exclusive of the winter. It's got the Halo name on it. It's Microsoft's biggest IP, and its key mode really is currently on the operating table, and that does bode hugely well for Halo 5. And
it depends. Well, they've said that Halo 5 runs on a totally different engine. I think that the netcode will probably work fine for that. And in all honesty, if you remember back, Halo matchmaking's never been up to much. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's rose-tinted spectacles are one thing, but if you remember back to when we used to play Halo 4, I mean, we'd often wait around in lobbies for quite a while before getting a game. And hopefully they're going to boost that in Halo 5. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame, because Xbox Live is supposed to be the premier brand, and I feel like Halo, even though the problems are all of 343's making, I do think that it's having a bit of a hit in terms of reputation, and in terms of, I mean, you've just got to look at the Halo Reddit to see the way that the fans are reacting to this. But hey, as someone who plays Halo mainly for the campaigns and co-op, I'm still having a blast with it, and for the record, I have been able to get online. It's not so much broken as just really annoyingly tantalizing. But this isn't a podcast about the Halo Master Chief Collection. This is a podcast about the two consoles. And what I kind of find, looking back over the last year at the PS4 and the Xbox One, I kind of feel like the PS4 has actually had a pretty smashing year, whereas the Xbox One is basically having a very Merry Christmas.
I think, yeah, I mean, I haven't really struggled for games on the PS4, and I think But the thing is, I think it's down to a completely different strategy, and this is the thing. Like Microsoft front loaded a lot in terms of their exclusives, and Sony went really, really, really hard for third party bundles as well. I know Watch Dogs was delayed, but it still ended up being a big seller for the PS4 and consoles for that system as well, because it was bundled in. Destiny, in spite of its disappointing sort of critical appraisal, sold pretty well and shifted PS4s as well, because the entire marketing had been so heavily tied in with the PlayStation brand. And it was only kind of like a week or two ahead of launch when Microsoft were kind of able to go, no, it's coming out on Xbox as well, because the details of the whole marketing agreement had been sort of just come out into the open, and they ran their own rather cheeky advert alongside that as well. So I think Sony's been very, very canny, and I think in terms of their business partnerships, I think this has been a great year for them. But I also can't help but feel that they've actually kind of been resting on their laurels a little bit.
Sort of. I do think, now I don't have a PS4, but I do think one thing that Sony and the PS4 don't get enough credit for is how many great indie games are on that platform. Because it hasn't just been the big third parties that they've been reaching out to. They've made it super easy for smaller developers to get on that platform. They've done a great job of getting dev kits out there, getting consoles out there. And this is the point. When people buy a PS4 because it's an investment, because they're looking forward to the big Sony games that are coming down the line. Again, that's not the way I personally operate, but I know a lot of people buy a console as a sort of a journey almost. Sony have been very good at giving people things to play. And that's, clashed massively with Microsoft's parity clause and the way that ID at Xbox is still making it quite difficult for a lot of devs to get their games on that platform. And I do look around and I see that there have been lots of people on the big aggregators and on loads of forums and stuff, even knocking the indie games, saying, oh, these rubbish indie games coming out, why can't we have any, like, where are the big games? Why are these coming out? And Xbox fans going, oh, PS4, it's only got indie games. And they're thinking, well, look, okay, I play most of these indie games on PC, but this, like, dedicated huge group of developers are working their arse off to give you awesome things to play. You should be, like, eternally grateful for that. And there have been some just stellar indie games on that thing. And I think that's the thing. Like, lots of people are prepared to wait. Lots of Sony fans are prepared to wait. Like with the PS3 as well, they bought it because they know, not necessarily because the games they want are on the platform, but because they know that Sony, once they get in gear, will deliver those games. And I think the PS4 has done a stonking job of giving people stuff to effectively tide them over.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think Sony's strategy this generation has been totally informed by their strategy from last generation, which they had to play catch up. They had to drop massive exclusives, and they did it, and they caught up to the Xbox 360 eventually. And people know that Sony have these studios and have these IPs and have these games in their locker, essentially. And of course, this generation is completely different. Both consoles started out on a relatively, well, a kind of level playing field, and Sony can kind of focus on areas where perhaps it wasn't necessarily as strong last generation. They can do that and get more developers onto their system. They can make it all about accessibility in there. Yeah, that's exactly what they've done. And I want to touch on the services as well, because I found this quite interesting. Like, we ran a poll a couple of weeks back, sort of comparing Xbox Live and PSN and putting games with gold and PS Plus into the mix, because they are really, because now the services are all integrated on the two platforms. Like, you get your online multiplayer and you get your sort of instant game collection under those subscription banners. And I found it interesting that a lot of people still said they went Xbox for the stability, and a lot of people also said that they went PlayStation for the instant game collection. And I think the old strengths still hold true in this regard. Xbox Live is more stable than the PSN. The PSN is down for a lot of maintenance, but PS Plus has been an outstanding indie delivery service, essentially. And that's the thing. Like, I do think there is a smorgasbord of smaller and mid-tier games to play on PS4 that they don't often get the love they deserve, because people are are really, really eager for the big hitters, but they will come. And I think in the meantime, yeah, Sony have done a really, really good job with making PS Plus. I mean, with making PS Plus that indie sort of delivery service. I think it can be better. I also think games with gold needs to be a lot better.
Yeah, it does. But the main problem with Xbox Live Gold is that because they have to give games away permanently, licensing that is a big ask.
Yeah.
And also there's the fact that, both games with gold and PSN struggle because the consoles are new. Like, there's only a certain amount that you can give away. You can't really give away any big games as soon as they come out.
No.
You've got to wait for games to get old before you can start giving them away for free. Both consoles are starting to get into the swing of things. Microsoft are giving away new indie games as well, which is a really nice touch. The one thing for me though that PSN still bugs me because now they make you pay. Here's the thing: I'm all right with paying for an online service. I'm okay with that, so long as it's really good. But it bugs me that you now have to pay, and yet the service is still out of action for these scheduled maintenances. It's still split in terms of different regions, so you can't use, say, a US unlock code in European regions, for example. To me, bringing out a new console seemed like the perfect time to actually make a concerted effort to upgrade that infrastructure. And that's the reason why I don't currently subscribe to PS Plus. Obviously, I will when I finally get my PS4 when Bloodborne comes out, if Bloodborne is good, because oh my god, Bloodborne. God. But yeah, sorry, I was off in Yarnum there for a second. But yeah, I do think that Xbox Live is a superior service. It's just a bit of a shame that. Again, as we mentioned, their flagship game isn't working. It's not Xbox Live's fault, but it's well, at least it guarantees really speedy Call of Duty matchmaking. That's awesome.
Yeah. I want to turn attention a little bit broader now because obviously Black Friday is around the corner. We've got the biggest retail week of the year headed up after this weekend. Lots of people are going to be looking at investing in new gen now, having waited a year to see what the PS4 and the Xbox One could do. So, let's lay it all on the line here. Carl, which console should people buy this winter?
No, I'm not going to have that kind of pressure as I like to. But
Do
no,
it.
Do it. You got to do it.
no. If it's basically it boils down to if you like the games on the one console more than the other, get that one. If you've got friends that you want to play multiplayer stuff, get that console. I'm not going to say go and buy that one specific. That's bad consumer advice. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, we pointed out, the Xbox has now got a strong lineup. The PlayStation 4 has got a strong lineup when you go all the way back to its launch. Hell, even the Wii U has really turned it around this year and has got some fantastic games on there. So, you know what? You, as the consumer, are spoilt for choice. I think no matter what you get, you're going to have affordable games. No matter what platform you get, you're going to have a good community to play with. This Christmas is going to be fantastic, I think, regardless of what console you pick.
I think that's a really good answer because I think I absolutely agree with you. I think third parties have really come through this year. Far Cry 4 is just it's more of the same, but it's outstanding and it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it will erase the disappointment of Destiny from your mind. Trust me. I think there's pretty much a game for everyone this Christmas. And let's pull out the Wii U because the thing is the Wii U is 2 years old by this point, and it's still not selling well at all. But you know what? I bought one halfway through the year for Bayonetta 2, and I am loving it.
Yeah, I'm going to be a bit less circumspect in my buying advice, and I'm going to say that you should buy a Wii U. I'm going to say that you should buy a Wii U. I think the Wii U has reached the point where it's if you're serious about gaming, if you're serious and you don't want to clobber together a really good PC and get a 3DS. Then the Wii U is almost an essential purchase if you are a serious gamer. It has just some of the most stunning, just perfectly constructed, like handmade, working exclusives on that system. And the thing is, though, it's like any system that's been out for a while. You've got to remember that the Wii U has been out for 2 years. It has the benefit of quietly amassing loads of quality exclusives, none of which have been system sellers, really, until Mario Kart 8 came along, now Super Smash Brothers, and Bayonetta 2. For me, now it's reached that critical mass where you can buy your Wii U, get on Bayonetta, get on Smash Brothers, get on Mario Kart, and then, oh no, is there anything else to play? Well, maybe you could check out Wind Waker HD and the wonderful 101, Super Mario 3D World, New Super Mario Brothers U. Zombie U is still probably one of the best survival horror games released this decade, and yet hardly anyone's played it. I know I'm forgetting something else as well. Pikmin. It's a stonkingly great platform, and for me as well. I wrote a piece about this months ago, but the Wii U almost reminded me why I fell in love with gaming in the first place. It doesn't have things like achievements. It doesn't put online. It doesn't put a lot of online competitive multiplayer first and foremost. It puts local multiplayer first and foremost. It brings people together in friendly, constructive, awesome ways with Miiverse, which is still one of its most amazing and sort of even barely covered selling points. And it's just a stonking system. Don't get me wrong, there are lots of people who are a bit tired with the same old Nintendo games, and yeah, actually that's fair enough. I mean, it's horses for courses, isn't it? But in terms of quality, and in terms of like great stuff to play, like the Wii U's killing it right now. The Wii U is killing it. By the same token,
I kind of look at in terms of the Christmas season. I think about what I game with at Christmas, and like I'm going to be going through some serious JRPGs on my Vita this Christmas because I can't take my PS4 on the road. But actually, it's the Wii U. The Wii U is for me the perfect Christmas console, and actually I end up coming round to Nintendo consoles generally for perfect Christmas consoles, because you're there, you're stuffed with turkey, you're slipping into a food coma, but there's Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, and it's just gonna be the best, the most fun thing to be playing on Boxing Day. I'm so excited. And the thing is, actually, like you make a good point, John, about falling in love with gaming, because I have like in my office, I have my PS4 and my Xbox 360 and my rig all set up, like all wired in through the capture box. But I can't do that with my Wii U. I mean, I brought it in for when I had to do Bayonetta vid stuff, but it lives in the lounge. It's there. It's my relaxing console. It's my console that I play with and I have fun with, and like people come round and they play with it as well. It's the communal console. It's there. Like I just love it. I love it so much. I'm so glad I reached the tipping point. And I think like the tipping point for me was Bayonetta. I think for a lot of people, it will be now having like 2 massive Nintendo titles in Mario Kart 8 and Smash Brothers. And I just think that, yeah, if you're looking for fun this Christmas, that console's just got so much of it. And it's so cheap. It's so cheap now. Like, check out the site. The deals we've been running this week, like the insane, the basic bundles that we've had are ridiculous. And you look at the basic and go, oh, there's no space on there. I've had to get a new hard drive in for my premium because it does fill up. So that's not really a problem. And we mentioned indie games for the PS4. The indie scene on the Wii U is quietly brilliant.
Yeah, it's improving. There's some really interesting games on there. It's still not quite in the state it needs to be. But now Curve Studios are on it. Those guys are fantastic at getting other indies who don't really know how to deal with certification and stuff onto platforms. They did a stonking job with the Vita and the PS3 and the PS4. So there's going to be a slew more games coming to the Wii U as well, I'm sure. Yeah, I gotta say the Wii U is just for me absolutely crushing it. And do you know what? I haven't even played Bayonetta 2 yet. I haven't had the time. I can't
you're gonna
wait.
love it.
It's not. Don't get me wrong. Bayonetta 2 is not the game you're going to be playing on Boxing Day. You're not going to have the whole family sitting around like full of turkeys, sandwiches, watching you play Bayonetta. I mean, that's going to be super awkward. Like, I'd probably suggest like Super Smash Brothers or Mario Kart 8 for that. I do though think that you haven't reviewed Little Big Planet yet. I've been seeing lots of reviews for it, all of which have been positive, but some more positive than others. I do think that's a really canny Christmas game for the PS4 because
And
it,
PS3.
you know, it does it, and PS3, yeah, and admittedly yes, but even so, it's nice to have that sort of family fun game, and just fun local game out there for Christmas. Although don't get me wrong, if you get an Xbox One, yeah, obviously put a bunch of skulls on, go into Legendary in Halo the Master Chief Collection, and run the Combat Evolved campaign. Obviously, there's going to be nothing like a bit of Boxing Day Silent Cartographer. And also, yeah, I do think you should seriously look at the Xbox One as well this year, because it is a really neat system, and the prices
We're
are
coming back round to
very
Carl's
good.
point.
Yeah.
That's it though. Like I think Carl, you kind of nailed it. Like whichever you decide, if you want sort of a premium console for third-party titles, the PS4 will do you nicely and do you really well in terms of indie titles. If you want a very merry Halo Christmas, which I really do, the Xbox One is going to totally fulfill that remit, and it's got a whole bunch of exclusives as well. And if you want Nintendo's just on fire. The Wii U is going to give that to you.
However, I think we are in danger of letting Nintendo off the hook slightly, because while I do think you should buy a Wii U, there is one console I'm not sure I can recommend buying this Christmas, and that is the 3DS. Now, if you've listened to any of these podcasts, you'll know that I am a massive fan of the 3DS. I'm a massive fan of handheld gaming in general. In all seriousness, I probably play handheld consoles more than any other consoles, and probably more than PC as well, added together, even when I'm at home. Always have done. And the 3DS is just absolutely just superb. It's got some magnificent games there, and Super Smash Brothers just come out. The new Pokemon's looking excellent. Persona Q is coming out, and as a huge fan of Etrian Odyssey and Persona, I have to have that in my life. It's got all the characters from Persona 3 and 4 in that game as well. But Nintendo have slightly screwed the pooch this Christmas as far as the 3DS is concerned, because they're bringing out that new version next year. So even though you're going to see some attractive bundles, the problem is that if you buy a 3DS this year, you might find that your console is obsolete within a few months.
Yeah, and they've called it the new Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah, and the problem is that would be fine if it didn't have a faster processor that was capable of running exclusive games that only work on that console. And yeah, I mean, there are going to be some great deals. There are already some great bundles out now. There are going to be even more come Black Friday. But I don't know if in all good conscience I can recommend that you buy one now, because yeah, if the deals are good now, imagine how good the deals are going to get when they bring out that new model.
Yeah.
When they phase out the old ones. I just don't think, sadly, that I can recommend you buy a 3DS this Christmas. I think that you might miss out on big sales down the line, and you might run the risk of a bunch of really cool stuff like, oh, hey, Xenoblade looks great. Oh, wait, I can't play it. I'll have to buy a new console. And a vastly superior one at that. So I really think that I cannot fathom why Nintendo didn't bring this I can fathom it, it's because they want to increase their market share in Japan and basically just focused on Japan, as Nintendo wants to do when they're in a bit of a panic about something. But they really fudged this. They should have got this out in time for Christmas. Still, the Vita's a good shout. If you love your localized games, your JRPGs, as you said, that's a cracking console. Really enjoying it. I've got just localized niche Japanese games for days on that thing, and it's awesome. I've still got a bunch of reviews I've got left to do for it. Currently reviewing Arcana Heart 3.
Nice.
Love Max with 5 exclamation marks. We'll see if it earns those exclamation marks. Stay tuned for that next week.
It is worth noting that there aren't really any games that sort of utilize the unique benefits of the new 3DS, which is quite good in a way. But if you are in the UK and you want one before Christmas, you can get your hands on one. 365 Games are importing them in. They'll be in stock come Black Friday. They're a bit dear. The standard version is costing about 152.99 quid, with the XL coming in for about 169.99. But going through PlayAsia will get you some fat custom duties apparently. So.
If possibly, it's you roll the dice. It might just come through fine. You might just get a letter saying from custom saying we have your 3DS, pay us. There is a caveat though. If you want basically a present for your kids who basically want a toy to play Pokemon on, you know, I'm coming from the perspective of a dedicated handheld gamer here. But if you basically are looking for a stocking filler for your kids who want a toy to play Pokemon, do take advantage of these bundles. There are going to be some cracking ones, and also bear the 2DS in mind, because we've seen prices coming down towards £60 for that thing, 60, 70 quid, like sometimes with a game.
Yeah, and it looks like a doorstop, but it's actually really comfortable in a kind of Game Boy way.
It's a derpy old console. It's got crappy mono sound. It's got no stereoscopic 3D. Oh well, but it's kind of actually a really good option. Not just as a stocking filler, but also if you're a gamer who wants to play a few cracking 3DS games and DS games. Remember, it's backwards compatible. But don't want to really shell out a huge amount of money. Say you want to just play some Fire Emblem and a bit of Pokemon and maybe some Animal Crossing, but you're not really going to be following some of the important stuff, and maybe you just want to play a bit of Smash Brothers. Yeah, the 2DS is worth thinking about, especially if it dinks below the 80 quid level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's even more the case then. A good Christmas for all concerned, whether you're looking at consoles, PC, or handheld. Yay!
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
God bless us,
everyone. If you're actually still stuck in terms of what to get this Christmas, if you're eyeing up consoles but you're not sure on what each of them offer, do check out our extensive buyer guides. John's been going through them all this week, and we've got the lowdown on pretty much every console out there. So do check in with those. We'll have our Black Friday guide up. That will have gone live yesterday, so do check in with that and make sure you're ready and bookmarked and subscribed, ready for the retail madness to come across the next few days. And yeah, we'll be with you all the way, of course, with shitloads of deals and awesome bargains and console bundles. So yeah, do stay tuned to the site. But in the interim, have a wonderful weekend, and we will catch you next time. See you on the other side. Bye.
Bye. Oh my god, we forgot to talk about one console, Matt.
What is it about?
Yeah. But there's a new version of the Ouya out now with slightly better specs and storage, and you can sideload all the Amazon apps that you already have on your phone.
Wait, the Ouya has a side hatch.
Oh, if only it had a side hatch. You can unscrew the top. I showed you that in the review. You can unscrew the top and bring out what is basically just a crappy version of a Raspberry Pi that you can't modify, and then put it back in because it's not modular at all.